Hello, everybody, and welcome back. If you were here earlier, thank you. We are live on Yerg's Radio. Yes, we're still live on Yerg's Radio and Rainbow Radio, and we will be on replay on Pine Island FM, WZQR, and the Bigfoot Radio Network. Tonight we have two guests. Both are returning. First off, let me bring my beautiful hostesses out here. Hostesses with the mostesses. And well, wait a minute, I didn't mean to do that. I don't know how I did that. So, well, we can figure this out. I don't know. I'll just push some buttons. At any rate, how are you ladies? I haven't seen you in forever.
Fabulous.
Good.
Glad to be back with my antlers.
Yes, we have missed. Hello, Wendell. What is this about? Well, to be honest, I don't have a damn clue what this is about, Wendell.
We'll figure it out when we get there.
All right. So our first guest, Russell. Good Lord, I need sleep. Russell is here tonight. He's a return guest. I've already offended him. So, hello, Russell. How are you?
I'm a lawyer.
Have you met Jeff? Never mind.
No, don't do it.
Oh, I'm going to do this. There we go. I like that much better. And there we go. So we'll give you the big screen. You can have the big
not
screen.
As ugly.
You don't have to see all of me. Hello, Chris. Welcome back. Let's see. Yeah. So, Russell, how the heck have you been?
I have been great. I'm so glad to be back on this show. I was telling you before, I've been like an advertisement for you. And all the other shows that I go on, I tell them about what a great show this is. And you've had a line of authors wanting to be on your show because of all the great stories I have about it.
I love it. Well, we're a little off here. We're a little different.
You are, and we're going to explore that a little bit. Is one of the subjects I want to talk about tonight. Now that my dog just passed out, she's done.
I'm scared. I'm going to be analyzed by an attorney. I'm going to be cross-examined.
You are going to be cross-examined a little bit.
I did it.
What does paranormal guys mean? What does that mean? What is that?
Well, you see, a long time ago, I had this idea that myself and my son were going to do a show.
Okay, Chris.
And so he doesn't believe in anything paranormal. So he was going to be the normal one, and I was going to be the paranormal one. And being a paramedic, I was like, well, let's do a play on words. Para are normal, which Latin, it means beside. Para means beside. So that was the idea. Well, my son took a job up in Vermont, moved away and left me. I had a bad experience with a grizzly bear. And then I discovered some beautiful young ladies. So
let's skip over that.
Yeah, just
I actually had a couple of grizzly bear experiences too.
Well, hopefully yours involved shotguns. I wish mine had. So
mine did not, but mine gave the true nature of how crummy I am sometimes.
Okay. When I moved to the hills of East Tennessee, this brought up a bear story, and I went camping with some of these people. Actually, it was when I moved to Georgia. They said that you need to be careful of the bears, and so they gave me this little air horn, like you take the basketball games and stuff.
Right.
And they said if the bear's coming at you, you squeeze that, and the bear will run off. I believed it until we had a survivalist guest on here, and he's like, "Dude, that shit'll get you killed." So
I know. Do you know how hard your friends laughed at you when you were like, "Oh,
I was that guy."
There's no truth to the myth, though, that you should not run from bears. I was walking south of Jackson Hole. I was walking around a lake having a cigar because I was on one of those. You ever see Family Vacation?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay, I was Family Vacation, right? But we were going north from Texas, right? We're hitting stuff. So it's been, and I decided I needed to walk somewhere by myself and have a cigar, right? So I'm walking around the lake in a national park south of Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and uh, I turn this corner, and it's all forest, and there's these two teenage boys. They're probably about 18, 17, standing looking into the forest, and they're just stunned. And I walk up behind them and I look what they're looking at. My dog sees her reflection in the window and she thinks there's a dog sneaking in. She's insane. Okay. And I look by in front of them and there's a grizzly bear standing. Hang on, I got to get rid of this dog. Go on. Stand, there's this grizzly bear about 25 yards away, maybe only 30 yards, not very far. And it's on all four looking. And I'm standing there, puffing on this cigar, and this bear stands up on his back two legs. I swear I've never seen anything so tall in my life. I thought it was 3 stories high. And it sniffs the air. It was smelling my cigar.
Oh.
And then it got back down on all four and headed to us. Nothing has ever scared me like that in my life. I took off running, jumped over a creek, threw my cigar in the water. And so there was no problem running because the three of us was running, and then being typical teenage boys, the two teenage boys stopped and turned around to see if it was still running. Chase, you don't stop and turn around to see if a bear is still chasing.
Hey,
I
let them be the snack to let you keep on going.
I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything in the news, so I guess they got away. I don't know.
Wow.
Apparently, your shirt offends Wendell for some reason. So,
Sorry, Wendell.
Okay. You have your fans are so funny. One wants to see the dog more. One doesn't like her t-shirt. I can't even read her t-shirt.
I
New
got
Orleans
New
Saints.
Orleans out of it. Yeah,
Okay.
I got
New Orleans
So-
football.
If this is the weirdest that they get, we're doing good, Russell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I like that, by the
That's
way.
true.
So my next question
Be
is,
careful what you wish for.
why did you decide to have the kind of podcast that you have? Why did you guys decide that? I mean, it's not like every other podcast.
Well, I wanted something different.
I'm curious as to how we're not like every other podcast.
Well, because the last time I was on, you had me on for half an hour, and you had the Bigfoot hunter on for half an hour. Now, who's
Greg.
going to have a Bigfoot hunter on but you? I haven't come across that before. And the funny thing is, as I told this story, I've had a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, I know some people that are Bigfoot hunters." Apparently, it's this big
Mm-hmm.
underworld
Community.
clique of people that don't tell the rest of us that they exist, and they meet out at lakes pretending to hunt Bigfoot, but they're really drinking beer all night. Is that it?
Maybe. So
You're getting
I'm
there.
suspicious so I've actually since then had other people say, "Oh yeah," but so what? That's what I'm talking about. You're so different. How did that happen?
And I've told the girls this, and my fans know this. My thing is, I got a microphone and a mouth, and everybody's got a story to tell of some kind, and I want to hear it. And if we end up going off on some shenanigan and talking about how cats do something or how bulls react during a radio, yes, it is what it is. And sometimes the show loses Stop it, Amanda. Just loses Total track.
Well, Russell, and a funny thing too is both Amanda and I were guests on here, and now we're part of it. So
I drug him in. So
Yeah.
And you just drug them in. Okay, my next question is: have you figured out why the time traveler you keep emailing to be on the show doesn't respond? Could it be he's somewhere else?
well, he emailed me for a while regularly. We were trying to set up a
just
time,
when he
and I was
checks
like,
into this time.
yeah, exactly, yeah. And I was like, well, when you get a minute or 50, I would like to have you on it because I mean, it's not often you meet a time traveling vampire. Come on. So,
well, from what I gather, the vampire community in and of itself is rather hard to get a hold of. So that could also be part of it with the time traveling added on top of it.
yeah, and who knows? He could have got caught some in the 16th century and be crucified or impaled.
He might like it better then. It's more accepting of his culture.
But it
I
does
think he needs
answer
to
the
go
next
into the-
question. Why do you have this show on at 9:00 at night? And that's because you're waiting for the vampires because it's after dark.
Exactly. Well, that and when we were on FM, the rules are a little more relaxed. So we're no longer on FM.
After a certain point in time, things became a little bit more lenient.
Oh, well, you used to. The show used to be on FM radio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're still on Pine Island, Florida.
ZQR.
WZQR, that's it. So they're gonna kick me off.
And no, that will be the only time that I will remember that.
But no, I was on WDJY. Actually, and we're going to be on WRFN, Radio Free Nashville. This will be there, but it's on midnights there on Saturday night. But yeah, we were on an Atlanta station.
Everybody's up in Nashville at Saturday night at midnight. Everybody's up.
Yes, they are. And I get emails about my shows from way back. And I'm like, oh, they're running a rerun. So
they've got to have something to listen to and laugh as they stumble home drunkenly. So,
well, they're not stumbling home at midnight.
The early birds.
Okay.
And
Those
then,
people that go down to the main boulevard and drink all day drinking. Maybe those people. I don't know how people can do that. They day drink and then night drink. I don't know how people do that.
I'd be passed out by 8.
Yeah, give me 8 Jack Danielses and I'm done. So
8?
You're done by like 3.
I may have lost track, but I think 8's a good even number. So
Well, I can tell you end up in the hospital Monday morning because I did. I drank from Friday night until Sunday night all weekend and could not move on Monday morning. Found out I had colitis.
Oh.
Yeah,
Ooh,
I ended up in the ER. Yeah, I drank all weekend. That was last August. Yeah.
I'm just going to say that's how I wound up in the hospital.
Yeah, this isn't something you did a long time ago. This is like last summer. This is recent.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. I was in a wheelchair for 5 weeks because doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me.
And they still don't know.
It's these middle-aged moms, Russell, you got to watch out for. So
they can't party like they used to.
No.
Well, the thing that I find strangest about Nashville, and one of your fans just posted that doesn't start till 3 a.m. What I was surprised at is that it starts so early in the day and it goes all day. But I'm from Texas, and everyone in Texas has cowboy boots, but I have never seen white vinyl cowboy boots like the ones that all the young women from out of town wear in Nashville. It's the strangest thing I ever saw. They cannot be comfortable, and everybody is wearing them. What is that? Is that
I believe that would be a Taylor Swift fad.
Is that a Taylor Swift thing?
Oh.
I would say so. That made it popular with the little mini dresses and your vinyl.
You had that
Well, I
ready,
didn't say I
Glenn.
didn't like it. I'm just saying I never seen so many boots like that.
Yeah.
And it's not cowboy. It's
Now,
Taylor
Russell,
Swift.
you'll have to join us on a Saturday when we explore what's going on at the bars in Nashville on Saturday evenings.
Yeah,
I will be listening this Saturday. That sounds like a crazy show. I want to hear.
well,
And
we got
Glenn,
some
you
good
need to
ones.
send me a advertisement of that show like you did today's show, and I will
Okay.
post that all over my media too because that seems like a great thing that I want people to watch too. 'Cause I
Well,
wanna
there
watch
for a
it.
while, there was we had check-ins after 10 o'clock with the hooker cameras in New York City,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
then from there we went to Key West. After it was about 11, we'd go to Key West. Got a little crazy, and
When
we
the
we saw
The
we saw numerous
dinosaur.
drug deals. Well, we saw numerous drug deals in Philly.
What are you talking
Uh,
about? Live cam? You're
You
watching
can go,
live
yeah,
cam?
you can
yeah.
go on YouTube, search live cameras. Whenever what storm was it that was coming through Key West?
That was the last one.
Hey, I've lived that. And you told me, Glenn, to turn this into the book that I wrote, which is the
There
whole
you go.
thing. And now she's done it because I actually have lived through 5 of those hurricanes. And there is a very funny side to all hurricanes. Like uh, when you know a hurricane is heading into your town, go to the grocery store and just stand around and watch because it's panic.
I did that during COVID.
It's
Okay,
like
so
snow
you
in
know
the
what I'm talking
South.
about, right? I mean, you got to see the humor and everything. But I actually put a hurricane in my book, Murder by Storm. The storm part is a Hurricane Harvey's coming into Houston, setting up down in Houston, and I have this psycho crime thriller that happens during a
Ooh,
hurricane.
nice. Did you put a
Is it?
dinosaur in that?
I
Beat me to
did
it.
not, but I killed everything else in it.
Just the
And
one
I
guy
will
left
show the book.
standing.
I hate bad promotions and I hate hucksters. So if you're watching this, I'm not hucking and I don't want to be a bad promoter, but I do love this cover because I love the lightning strike
Yes.
uh in on it and the broken words. Murder
Hmm.
by storm and the words are broken like the hurricane has torn it up, but the whole broken words is not about the hurricane, it's about the people being psychologically broken.
Us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not
And
psychologically
that's why we're
broken,
here.
you're just bizarre. And we all know as we when you're wait, Amanda made a good point. The dinosaur would have definitely made a business pickup. Okay.
I mean that legitimately happened. We were just watching the southernmost tip down there, and here comes somebody in a dinosaur costume while the
Just
waves
the
are
We
tip.
look
Oh, you're
crashing
on.
over
talking about
the.
in Key West.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have actually watched those live cams too. I actually, believe it or not, I had some friends of mine that were at a bar in Key West that has live cam.
Mhm.
And I know this is unbelievable, but it's true. I knew they were down there. And I actually, over a couple of nights, would go to the live cam on YouTube every now and then to check if they were there. And one time they were there. And I actually texted them right then. And I know they thought that was the creepiest thing in the world. Like I was like watching.
That'd be
You
something that
know,
I would do. Hey, you need to
Oh
fix your
yeah.
blouse. Fix your blouse.
I
that
love that red
that
shirt
would
on
have been
you.
very funny. I didn't think of that. If they go down
Sweetheart,
again,
those shoes do not match that outfit.
well, they go down
Mm-mm.
every year. So next year, if I find them there, I will say something about the blouse. So that's creepy, and her husband may not like it. So,
He'll live.
It's
and
okay.
they're
It's
probably
okay.
listening to this show right now. So, hello,
Good.
You've just
guys.
Good.
you've
Welcome.
just you've just given away your entire plan.
I know.
Hopefully
the
they'll
joke
forget by
won't
then.
work.
Hopefully they'll forget
Well,
by
it
then.
can.
So anyway, yes, watching people freak out during the hurricane can be funny, because you're in it anyway. And Key West is a very cool place, but it's almost completely been taken over by the cruise tourists, which I've been a part of. Yeah, see, I don't know the dinosaurs would work either. I had a horse in my book Murder for Me that and horses are like current dinosaurs because they're stupid and they try to kill themselves all the time. Horses, that's what horses are like.
Do not get PETA on me. Please do not get PETA on me.
BobbyDizzle.com.
But then you don't want to read that book.
You didn't stomp on any possums, did you? That's asking for a friend.
I had to tell you, I live in a forest, okay? And my dog that you've seen the picture of, but she's actually passed out by the door. In fact, she's passed out by the door.
She's done. She's done for the night.
She's 17 weeks old, 28 pounds, and it was the first day of puppy daycare. Right?
Aww.
So she's passed out.
She's had a tough day.
She has.
She's gonna be a dinosaur.
2 a.m. one morning, because I have to get up at 2, I have to get up at 4, and then she sleeps till 5 if I'm lucky. So one morning at 2 o'clock, I guess about 4 weeks ago, I had to take her out, and it was about 25 degrees here in Atlanta. And as we stepped out on the patio, a possum, big possum, not a little possum, but a big possum, just stood up, turned around, and looked at me in the eyes like, who the hell do you think you are? And I got to tell you, it's just a possum. I've always kind of laughed at possums, but that possum kind of scared me because he had such an attitude. So we went to the front yard and left the patio in the back alone.
Yeah, that's his spot. He was like, "Excuse me."
Right.
We had a possum at my old place like that, and I named him because he would get into all the trash, and he probably weighed more than my rabbit does, who already probably weighs more than your 17-week-old dog. And I would be like,
rabbit.
Yeah. And I was like, "No, you leave Frank alone. He's on the porch. We got to go out the other way."
Right. How do you get a rabbit that big on carrots? How does a rabbit get fat on carrots? How does that happen?
Well, because technically they're not supposed to eat a lot of carrots because of the natural sugar that's in them. But she does not have a strict rabbitly diet because she's spoiled. She really likes peanut butter crackers.
She ate a steak.
She's spoiled. But I am fairly certain she is half Flemish giant, which is the big ones. So when she stretches completely out, she could stretch across the whole bed.
Do you travel through France ever?
What was it?
Do you ever travel through France?
I do not.
So you've never been to a rabbit butcher shop in Paris that has rabbit carcasses hanging across the front window?
I don't think they'd be too pleased with her because the majority of that is just going to be fat and hair.
No animals were harmed in the making of this podcast.
A rabbit lover, right?
Yeah, I'd have to.
Have you ever had rabbit?
No. I would probably try it to say I've tried it, but just
sure.
as long as it's not
sure
my rabbit.
I wouldn't eat dog, so why would you eat rabbit?
I would try it to say I've tried it. Just as long as it's not her.
Right.
My mom eats squirrel brains.
You could give me some wild rabbit. I'd be all right.
You don't want wild rabbit. You want French farm rabbit. It's the delicacy, right? It's like
Well, if I
French
make
chicken.
if I
French
make my
chicken
way
is
over there, and I might partake in a little of the fancy French rabbit.
right. French chicken is not like American chicken. They're like two different things, right? American chicken is just meat. French chicken has been raised and loved and spoken French to all of its life, so it's better.
That chicken has been loved.
Uh,
Is
and
it
as your rabbit
snobbish?
has. Didn't you know, Glenn, that if you speak French to something all the time, that it's better food, it's better anything. I'm like a
Did not know that.
wacko Francophile. We
I
go to
did not know
Paris
that.
every
I
couple.
think in this area where the three of us live, it's more like we raised it to kill it and eat it, and you didn't talk to it like you loved it because you
Yeah.
weren't gonna raise
Well, you
it to
get
love it. You
attached.
were raising it to
Yeah.
eat it.
Yeah, you get attached when you talk to it like
It
that.
reminds me. It reminds me of my grandfather. His father started two ranches in Comanche territory in the Texas Panhandle, while the Comanches still ran that part of Texas. And
Wow.
he was eventually, I don't know why this reminded me of that, but he was eventually killed by a stampede, pushed him and his horse off a cliff. I've actually been to that cliff. But uh, those cowboys had this because my grandfather was still alive when I was little. Those cowboys, including my grandfather, had that attitude too. They would that's what they would have told me.
Yeah,
Russell, you don't
it's
talk
cattle.
to it.
It,
It's
it's
cattle.
yeah.
In fact, the name of his dogs, Hound. That was their name. Hound. That's and they all had the same name
Yeah.
because dogs were dogs. They didn't have names. They were just dogs. And when he would ride his horse, when he'd get on one horse, the other horse would attack it because they were jealous. Don't forget the like button, subscribe. Yes, Glenn, that's very true. I'm
I
sorry, I
believe
shouldn't
that.
be reading those, but
No,
they're
you're
big and
good.
yellow and they look straight across. And your fans have really good things to say, so I always want to pay
They do.
attention to it.
They do. They do. So,
But the
well,
horses would attack each other, and the dogs would attack the horses because they were all jealous of this mean old man who whatever he was paying attention to. So all these animals loved him, even though he treated them just the way you talk.
Oh my gosh.
Nah,
Yeah, see now
sounds
I could never like if I like I could never like that. Like if I had like chickens and stuff, they would all be like my little babies, and I'd be talking to them, and they'd be fat and loved, and but
you get hungry enough and little Fifi's gone. So,
Yeah.
right. And if you have chickens, because there's two different reasons to have chickens. There's you can have chickens because you're a health nut like I am, and so you want everything natural and unprocessed and perfect. I found out my parrot loved gummy bears. Yeah, well, everybody loves gummy bears. Special gummy bears. That must be what he's talking about, though I don't know what I'm talking about, right?
my one of my cats loves mandarin oranges.
But does your cat love
that's weird.
gummy bears?
I have not allowed her to have any of my gummy bears. She's already enough. She doesn't need anything else to help her.
Well, if you have a July 4th time and you have an animal that is terrified of that, a good gummy bear is a great thing to give one of them.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, these are regular gummy bears. Okay.
Yeah, his daughter dropped them.
Okay. So
You never
anyway,
know with her guess.
Hey, I was
two
gonna say we
reasons to have
never.
chickens. That reason, or because you're poor and you have to raise your own food, right?
Yeah.
Or because you're
Yeah.
in the country. And then you don't have a choice to uh, love them so you don't eat them because that's what you have, which is was
Mhm.
your point. That
Yeah.
you don't talk French
Yeah.
to your. I just can't speak French, but I do love it.
I'll speak gibberish to the chickens. I mean, I think that'll be close enough.
I
They'll
barely
know
speak English.
They'll know they're loved.
I was always afraid of the chickens when I was little, and we'd be taken to my grandfather's ranch because the roosters would chase me.
Mhm.
And if I tried to chase them back, I got a whipping from my grandmother because she said that made them don't chase the chickens; they don't lay eggs. So I get a whipping.
Well, the rooster don't lay the eggs anyway, so what's
Yeah,
the
but
matter?
she didn't care.
She
Don't
just wanted to
chase
beat you.
chickens. Even if they chase you.
She
Here
just
you
wanted
go.
to beat you,
Jamais
Russell.
les poulets. Here you go.
You're
You
sexy.
just pulled that out of your.
She's very sexy.
Jamais les poulets. I like the chicken.
You should see her in spandex when she's wrestling. So
I don't wear spandex when I wrestle.
She wears
Are you a
leather,
wrestler?
Glenn.
Didn't you
She
tell
wears
us that last
leather.
time?
What wrestle?
Are you a wrestler? Is that
I
something
was.
you were?
Yep.
When I used to train, I've run a lot of marathons. I used to train people to be a trainer to help people run their first marathon. It was,
Oh,
it was a
nice.
very inspiring thing because these were people trying to change their life. These
Just
people
the
that-
first marathon, no, though
yes.
none after that.
After that, you pretty much can handle it. But when
Yeah.
you're training for your first marathon, you're kind of scared about it, and you
Yeah.
don't think you can do it, right? Until you do it. And my whole point, uh, helping these people, because it really was inspirational to help people that are changing their lives, because this really was a symbol for most of these people that I worked with, because they were changing a lot of things and they were getting themselves right or whatever it was that they were fixing. And learning to run their first marathon was a part of it, not all of it, most of the time. And the one thing I used to tell them is, look at me. If I can do it, you know you can do it, right? Look at me. If I can do it, you know you can do it.
can you wrestle?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember the story now. So one of these people I trained was a roller derby girl.
They
Oh,
tried to
Glenn's
get me to do
favorite.
that.
She
Yeah.
she did the whole roller derby. She was on a team, and uh, I was like, if you do roller derby, why do you need to run a marathon? Yeah, that was none of my business, of course. But I was like, she was in great shape, but she wasn't in
Yeah.
marathon shape. There are different types of running,
Yes.
and doing roller derby is complete different physical acts with different muscles, etc.
Yes.
Right? I'm still amazed you got a puppy to sleep. Listen, this dog sleeps 20 hours. That's not the trouble. The trouble is when she wakes up at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Those are the troubles. Then, you've had your second cup of coffee at 6:30, and she goes back to sleep for the morning.
Yep. Yep.
And you have to get up when she wakes up or she will punish you. And you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I have a cat like that. So he doesn't even want out. So,
That's not a good thing.
yeah, no. Exercise is way healthier than staying at home all day. What are you trying to say, Soul? I'm at home all day, so
I think that he was taking a shot at you, Glenn.
could be. So
It's what she
Okay.
does
I'm
best.
So you never answered the question of why you guys decided to do a show the way you do. Why'd you decide to have this kind of podcast? What inspired you to be? Is it just because this is who you are and you wanted to have a podcast? Is that it?
I think Glenn, you would probably start that out.
yeah, I mean, like I said, I just like to hear everybody's story, get to meet new people, and I picked up hot chicks along the way. So you can't argue with that, Russell. So
No, I can't. And you get they meet you every week at 9 o'clock.
Well, not all the time. So sometimes they have to work and stuff. So I've got alternate girls. So
We are the main chicks though.
I'm still looking for another side chick
Now,
if anybody's interested. So
You're the bottom chick. Is that what it's called?
The bottom bitch.
I didn't say that because
It's the bottom
I wouldn't
bitch.
say that because I don't know you well enough.
It's
And Amanda was a wrestler, so she could beat my ass.
I'd let her beat my ass. I mean, come
Oh,
on.
she'd let me beat her ass. Listen to that.
So I'm leaving that alone.
I've met her husband. I'm definitely leaving that alone.
Oh my gosh.
No, I had these two on and we just clicked, and I've had other people co-host along the way, and some move on and do their own shows. And actually a lot of my co-hosts have went on to do their own shows. They're not as good as mine, but not even Bobby Dizzle's. I discovered him, and so yeah,
I don't even know who that is. Who is that?
Oh.
well, I can tell you for a
Bobby,
fact he's not
where
a
are you?
Nazi. He's not a Nazi.
You heard it here. Bobby Dizzle, not a Nazi.
Never was.
No matter what anybody
never will
tells
be.
you.
Well, don't get too carried away. So, Amanda.
Is currently not a Nazi.
Currently.
Yeah. See, my
I'm
daytime
just
show
leaving these
is
whole subjects alone.
well. My daytime show is running into this, so a lot of little side jokes there.
Meow.
Bobby didn't used to get hurt feelings, but apparently now he does.
What time is your daytime show?
Uh,
Do a little advertisement here so your guest knows when that's on.
Oh, the Sportcat Daily Gazette is every day from 1:00 until 3:00, and we talk about sports, entertainment, life, politics, news, weather, pretty much anything.
Wind,
So nothing's-
lots of wind.
What does
Lots of wind.
anyone in Tennessee have to say about sports?
Well, both the men and women's are in the basketball tournament right now. So
I know. And I'm one to talk since my Longhorns got beat by Tennessee last week.
oh yes, they did. And hey, but I did discover a fact about the Longhorns today on my daytime show.
That they're really,
You're-
really awesome.
Well, they spend more money per college than any other college that's been in the NCAA playoffs on lobbying DC.
I believe that.
Yeah. And they've got like
And-
22 people on staff on K Street.
I actually know some of those guys.
Well, I talked about them today. I was impressed.
Well,
That's
I'm
a
going to
lot-
have to
that's a
find
lot
out
of
what
money.
you said. I've got to find out
It
what you
wasn't bad.
said. They probably
It wasn't
already have a
bad, but-
printout of it. They probably
I'm on a list, I'm sure, for some of my stuff.
Several
will be
several
now.
lists.
Yeah. Haven't been on a
actually think
Texas
that's-
list.
I don't think that's a good thing, by the way.
I'm being on a list.
That universities spend money to lobby Washington. I don't think that's a good thing. Why do they need to do that? Because you know that's not tax dollars when it comes to University of Texas, because that's probably foundation money. So that's probably
Sure.
donor money. But a lot of universities that lobby use tax dollars. I think that's terrible.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, I guess if they're trying to get money for research grants or equipment or stuff, but why don't you just buy it instead of donating money to your favorite
I
congressman?
mean, research is important. I mean, in
It
fact,
is.
that's like the main business of universities now, right?
hmm
Yeah, they're not teaching a whole lot of other things, so yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm like some more and more every minute.
Thank you, Chris.
Do you get up in the morning and yell "Get off my lawn" to the kids when you're going to school?
No, because I don't have a lawn. I live in a forest. There is no
Okay.
lawn. And there's no kids that live in my entire neighborhood.
You
Thank God.
And there's no animals were harmed in the making of this podcast. Yes, but there was perhaps in one of my books. But that's another story.
All complaints on that can go to bobbydizzle.com.
Okay. But I've already been up like 3 hours by the time that happens because of this dog that I have now, right? So I've already been up. Of course, she's already gone back to sleep, but I'm up for the day.
Snap time.
Yeah, I mean, she's still right there, passed out.
Oh.
She's gone.
Good, excellent guard dog.
You know, she's not much of a guard dog.
Just hope they trip over her as they go in.
She's not. I, I mean, she's a retriever. I thought I was getting, like some genetic
No.
hunting dog in her, right?
No.
There is no genetic hunting dog. She
Never
ran
assume.
from a buck deer that we came across at 3 o'clock in the morning. Possum, I didn't have no hope of. She didn't even notice the possum. I was the only one running with the possum. But the buck deer, she actually went eye to eye with and then ran to the door. I'm like, where's the hunting dog part?
Never assume.
And she has web feet, giant web feet. So you think I have a water dog, right? She doesn't hunt. She doesn't guard. Well, she does. She cries when she gets rained on and runs in the house. So I don't have a water dog with.
I think you got I think you got a city gal.
I got a couch dog. Right now, I have a lay on the floor because it's cool dog.
We had when we first moved to Atlanta, we had an Australian Shepherd, and we were at Stone Mountain Park, and I was walking the dog. It was still a puppy, and I was going to show the kids that the dogs could swim. So I threw the Australian Shepherd in the water.
No,
That's
they don't
been
swim.
shanked to the bottom. I had to dive in and save it. My kids were traumatized. It's
You're going to go to hell for
but
that.
Probably.
Anyway,
You know, if we look at that compared to the list of everything else, I think that will probably be relatively low on the bottom.
Yeah, that's pretty weak. So
yeah, but he
so
will get a call from Pete at 3 o'clock in the morning.
BobbyDizzle.com.
Yeah,
that's right. Chris says my puppy won't go to the bathroom at night because my shadow is too big on the fence and it scares him.
I understand. My dog, if you turn the lights on before she gets to the door, she'll see a reflection in the door and she thinks there's a dog coming at her.
Yep.
Well, that's like we had a lab hound mix, and water for her was like this humongous dog.
Okay,
But
so we're talking about dogs. I'm going to move this back to my book for one last.
Yeah, we got to
one last because in my second book, Murder by Storm, I actually put a dog in the book, right? And I write by outlining the whole book. And then if I wander away from the outline, I re-outline the whole thing from then to the end. And I keep having to do that, right? So I'm writing about this dog, this retired police dog, a completely black German Shepherd. You see, I know this dog pretty well. With a gray face.
What's its favorite kibble?
That's not part of what I read about.
You said you knew it pretty well, so I would.
And I just planned on putting this dog in as kind of a sidekick of this little girl, right? The trouble is with characters is they start taking over, and then they take over bigger and bigger characters as you grow fonder of them, as you write about them, and they become more multi-dimensional, then they start taking over parts of the book, which means you got to re-outline again. But they become more to the story than you planned. This German Shepherd became a big part of the story, and it was only going to be a sidekick. And it reminds me of what comedians and actors say: never be in a movie or a show with a dog because they'll take over the show. You know, that's true in books too. And I got to tell you, I got threatened so many times by my editor. Do not hurt that dog in that book. People will hate your book and they won't ever They won't finish the book. If you hurt that dog, I got threatened the whole time by the editor as she worked through the book.
I think that was
Challenge
her way of saying if you hurt the dog, I'm not doing this anymore.
Well, it was more than that. It was like you heard the don't. She was warning me as she was at it as I was finishing the book. She was making sure that I didn't vary from what she was telling me. She was. I'm not going to say what happens, but uh, I had her. I had my publisher. They were all threatening me when I was writing about that dog. I know.
Even fictitious
and
dogs.
thank you, Chris, for saying that because every once in a while I'll see someone walk by me, especially as I'm taking this monster puppy to dog parks now. I'll see an all black German Shepherd. I always tell the owners, oh, I write about dogs like that. I always take a picture with them. I want to post it because it looks like the dog in my book, except I haven't. I know exactly what that dog looks like. I haven't seen that dog yet. Once I see it, either that or I'll get AI to make it for me, right?
So
There
what
you
was the
go.
dog's name?
Um, don't want to tell you that
Oh,
because there's a story behind that in the book
Okay.
because it was a retired police dog, right?
Gotcha.
Okay.
his name was Bullet. So can you can you make him in a later book turn into like a werewolf?
Or, well, actually, no, because I only have the only there's the only one with kind of a creepy. Actually, I have two characters in my books that kind of has a creepy, not magical, not fantasy, but a creepy skill. Marilyn, the antagonist, has this thing that she can do with like 95% of the men. She can get them, and she's not a perfectly beautiful one. We're not talking about a 10. We're not talking about someone that's 22 years old. We're talking about a 40-year-old woman who is she's very very attractive, but that's all. She's not doesn't have the most beautiful body. She's has a normal body, but she has the ability to get men to do what she wants, right? And it's weird. And you're like, well, is it magic or not? No, because I've actually known this person, right? And it was so shocking that uh, it was the kind of thing you can't tear your eyes away from, that they're able to do that because it does seem like magic, but they're able to do it. And we all go through life. There are a very very few people that we come across in our lives, and you can think of them right now that were completely different than anyone else you ever met, and you never forget them. And those few people that I came across like that are people that I write about. And the woman that I knew with that ability, that's one of the things. And so I wanted to make Marilyn, the antagonist of my book, have that ability. And the other thing is the little girl in the book uh, has a skill to get people uh, to not be able to say no to her, and it's in and not in any kind of sexual way. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about uh, in a way that begins to poison her abilities. And the reason I say that is because if you've ever known someone with a lot of personality or a skill that people are really attracted to, it kind of consumes them. That they don't perfect or fine tune their other abilities because they don't have to, right?
Mhm.
And it's that kind of skill. And I actually ran across this several times in my life. And I wanted to include that as part of the story too.
Wendell, that's a different type of skill, sweetheart.
What did Wendell say? What did that say?
Says Cheyenne can do that too. So
Oh, yeah, that's different. I don't want to. That's Bigfoot. That's one of the answers. That's Bigfoot. We have Bigfoot on the show. I'm so happy.
no,
And he
calm down.
and
It's just Wendell. So
he is one of those that is unable to say no. So
I'm not saying not able to say no. I mean, able to get other people unable to say no. That's different.
Wendell has the ability.
No, and that's
Wendell has the ability to sneak up on you and take your picture and disappear, and then forget your name.
I'm a magician. How am I a magician, Abe?
Oh. Chris says, here's a book idea, Russell. You and I travel the U.S. and take pics with all the dogs we meet. We do it already. Let's make some money on it.
I don't know how you make money doing that. I do know that one of the things is old ladies writing books about their poodles. And they pay people to publish these I don't even know what they're called, but books that people want to have published that no one will publish, so they just pay people to publish them. It's kind of a scam in the publishing business. And this one of the great symbols of it was a lady that did that about her poodle, and that became a national item of discussion about 20 years ago. So I'm not going to do that.
Interesting. Well, so how many you've written two?
I've written two
plan
that's
on
published.
That's okay. So where are we gonna? How many are we gonna have? Is this going to be a series?
Well, it is a series because there's two of them. There's I'm working on Murder by Trial now, which is actually it's a psycho crime thriller during a trial. But the whole point is, have you guys ever read Dunces of the Confederacy? It's a Pulitzer Prize winning book written in the 1920s about New Orleans. Okay. You should read it. The first 2/3 of the book is spectacular. It was good enough to win the Pulitzer Prize. The last third of the book, the writer couldn't figure out how to end the book. So it's not the greatest book in the world because it doesn't have a great ending. But there's a character in this book, the main character, that is so repulsive, yet so memorable that you can't forget them. And my whole purpose for writing the next book is to write a character in the book so uncouth, but so unforgettable that when you wake up at 2:00 in the morning to go get a drink of water, this character pops up in your head. That's what I want to do.
So you're like trying to come up with your own like Dolores Umbridge.
Is that it? Yes.
From Harry Potter, like so absolutely hated, the most vile woman, but you're never going to forget her.
Not necessarily vile. Notice I said uncouth. Like whenever he speaks, he spits. So he's talking to you, he spits on you. And he doesn't know it. So he's that unconnected with what's going on around him or reality or what anyone else is thinking. He always says the wrong thing at the wrong time. Always.
Just curious. He wasn't president recently, was he? Oh, never mind. So
And that's what I'm working on. I'm just ignoring Glenn. I'm going on. I'm just moving on. I don't want to get too deep into this because it's boring and it can be boring because it's like author talk. But I'm trying to write the most uncouth, but most, I can't get this character out from between my teeth that I can possibly write. That's my purpose for the next book. I want to write somebody that's unforgettable.
And then Salty Dog enters the chat. So there we go. Well, so you've gotten, this will be your third done. Do you have an end in sight, or do you just?
I think the third book will be the end of that story. I have actually a Professor Moriarty that slightly appears in the next book that I may use as the next series. Right?
Okay.
Nice.
Someone that dips in and causes chaos and gets away. And I may use him as the next series. The trouble is the protagonist in the book, O.C. Sims, the detective that he's the know-it-all detective, always trying to catch Marilyn, but never seems to catch her. The thing, in every book I write with O.C. Sims in it, he gets shot. In every book, okay, he gets shot.
Can't go on.
And it usually is in the same place.
Good
So
Lord.
it's really, and I can, so for me to go into the next series, he's got to survive. I don't know how he's going to do it. Because you can only get shot so many times.
In the same spot, yeah.
In the same spot.
Is it his
And
wife that shoots him?
I love it. I love the scenes where I get to shoot this guy, making up new crazy reasons. And like he's thank you. And OC in Murder by Storm, OC meets a woman and they're trying to build a relationship. And in my first book, Murder for Me, I use sex as the symbol for how crazy the lawyer gets because he's falling apart as the book goes on. And as he falls apart, I use sex as a symbol for showing how he falls apart. Well, as a comedic relief, in the next book, this couple, every time they try to make love for the first time, something happens, right? Something's always happening. That's part of the joke. Like one time, because he's shot, right? OC gets shot all the time. So he gets shot, she's like, kiss me. And he breaks open. He breaks. They have to rush to the hospital. And then, she has to face her mother and explain to her elderly mother what happened to OC. It's a whole funny scene, right? Because you got to have funny in a book too. Right?
I think by the third,
Oh yeah.
I think by the third time, if I were her, I'd be like,
no, she's a good woman. She's not mean like you. She's a good woman.
hey, this has happened twice already. I'm trying to.
Right.
Just,
Bitches don't always know.
Hey.
So, hey, if she's gonna do the hair, I can do the.
I don't even see any of this. Right? The video is not on.
See, that's the best part of the show is you pretend you have no audience. I mean, I usually don't, but
I can't see what she did. I'm just telling you something funny. It's not about sex.
Well, that's great.
I mean, it might have been a little bit, but
another time. She's trying to make love to him. The private eye comes against him and pulls him out. We found something. Come, hurry. And she's like, what? What the hell?
He starts to count and he pulls out.
You know how big country boys are sometimes a little bit not modern about the way they treat women, where he can pats her on the head and says, "You just stay here, honey. You don't want to be." You don't want to be upset about anything you see. Yeah. And she has that reaction. Okay.
You know,
That's my husband.
at some point, you know,
She
I think
froze.
she's.
You were frozen,
God, Wendell.
Shay. God froze your butt because he did not approve. You were frozen.
Ironically enough.
I'm shocked. I think Glenn froze you. Or maybe Bigfoot. Did Bigfoot freeze you?
Meow. Wasn't
I
wasn't
think
me.
it was Bigfoot.
Oh, well, did you watch our episode where we had the director of like 170 some porn movies? He wrote an expose book about the industry, and we had him for 2 hours. That was a great episode.
I don't know if I would be tough enough to watch that.
Wasn't it Dick Buttkiss?
No, what was his name? Richard
Vic
Rigid?
Legina.
No, Vic Legina.
George Costanza.
I actually added Vic Legina on Instagram. That was a really great interview. I was nervous about it, but he was so professional. It was really good.
It really was. It was.
I have not had any salty dog. In fact,
Salty, how much have you had, friend?
Yes, I actually stayed off an evening drink before the show, even though this show is on so late for an old man like me that it's like I should have had something, but I laid off so I would not slur my words because it's hard enough to understand my West Texas accent as it is.
I understand you perfectly. So,
Well,
we need to have Angie on with him one night. Holy cow.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Angie, one of our friends in South Georgia, has got the most country girl accent you've ever heard in your entire life.
I bet it's a beautiful accent.
Even I was going, what did she just say? It is. It really is. It is. Yes.
Yes, I would bet it is. I would take a Georgian country. Oh, not tonight. It's too late for tonight. I'm going to take a magic pill and go to sleep. But I would rather have a Southern Georgian accent than a West Texas accent any day. It's much more beautiful. A Savannah accent. I love the Savannah accent.
Mm-hmm.
I love to say Savannah.
Over here. So, what do you think? Never mind. Oh, sometimes my chat is just out of control.
This accent is why I cannot do an audiobook and read it myself. Because nobody could listen to this for 12 hours. They couldn't do it.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I love your voice, Russell.
Yeah.
No, it's too raspy, too much tin.
No.
You're nice.
Pull it off. You can pull
am I mean?
Am
I mean or am I nice? Make up your mind, Russell.
Nice. You can be both.
I must
You're
say,
highly
though,
intelligent. Therefore, you can be one thing and then the other. It's not an either or choice, right?
I think Josh Gates should read all the books. But then I would be asleep.
Who is Josh Gates?
He's on the Discovery Channel, and he has the most soothing voice. Like, we just turn on one of Josh Gates' shows, and we go right to sleep.
Well, I don't want that. I don't want that. Plus, I think I'm going to have a woman read my book, not a man. I think I want to. I think we're going to have a woman.
Hey, we can get Angie. Let's talk to Angie.
80% of my readers are women, right? 80% of them, and about 70% are over 30. So I would like to have like a 40-year-old woman read my book. Plus, Marilyn, that I have lived with in my head, the antagonist in my series, she's actually existed in my head for 10 years, actually 14 years. And So I would like it to be someone like her read the book. In fact, when I first started this book, and I'll end this because I know you're about to come in. You have a couple of magic pills that, yeah. So I'm not reading that, Salty. Uh, so uh, when I was first writing about Marilyn in my first book, the book has never been published. That first book, I was writing about Marilyn, and but her name wasn't Marilyn. And actually, she came to me in a dream. I know this is weird, but it's actually true. She came to me
Not
in a
for this
dream,
show, it's not.
grabbed me by the throat, and was like, "My name is not. My name is Marilyn." And so the next morning, I woke up and I said, "Melinda, I dreamed about Marilyn." Melinda's my wife, by the way, guys. And Melinda was like, "Who
Who
the
is
hell is
Marilyn?
Marilyn? Why are you dreaming about Marilyn?" I was like, "It's the character in my book. She came to me in my dream and told me she was Marilyn." She says, "That creeps me out. Don't tell me stuff like that anymore." And she's been with me ever since.
Honey,
But I
you
should
need
read your
some
book.
help.
I may need different magic pills.
If you call her by the wrong name, you definitely will. You
Right?
may get
Who,
to meet
Marilyn
the
or
paramedics. Take your pick.
Or Rita, because Rita's still asleep over here.
Oh, she's out. She is out. All right, Russell. Well, you have to promise me you're going to come back when you do the next book, or just anytime you want. I mean, you've got
I
pretty
would
much
come
an
back
open
all the
invitation.
time if I could. Not like these two that you roped into every week at 9 o'clock because oh my gosh, I'm ready to go to bed right now. But I would love to come anytime. Anytime you need a guest, you call Russell.
You can
I
come
can do that.
anytime.
Hey, you know what? I have an opportunity for you. We can make you. I might replace the paranormal attorney and make you my new paranormal attorney. So if we do a show about killing Bigfoot or hunting down ghosts or something
I
like
have
that.
a story about the snow monkeys, the Japanese snow
Yes,
monkeys
you
that
told
lived
us
in
about
South
that.
Texas. And sheriffs don't put, there's no laws against shooting them. But if you do, the sheriff is coming looking for you.
Yeah.
Yes,
You kill a Bigfoot, and you're going to make a lot of people mad.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
you'll also be really famous because you're going to walk out of the forest with a Bigfoot, but that's another story.
Yeah, but then you're gonna
There
have
you go.
Lord only knows how many underground agencies after you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cults will come after
Plus,
you.
all those guys that drink beer out by the lake and say they're looking for one. I don't know
There you
who
go.
all that is.
There you go.
Thank you, Salty.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Russell, tell everybody where they can find your stuff and if they want to find you.
RussellLittleAuthor.com
All right.
is my webpage. And you can see what I'm doing day to day on my Facebook channel, Russell Stories.
Hey, you should do a Wednesday waffle. I just discovered this from last week's guest.
What is a Wednesday waffle?
A waffle on
take
Wednesday.
You take your phone or whatever recording device and you just record a brief 2 minutes what you did over the week, what you're thankful for, what you're grateful for, and then you send it to all your friends, or in your case, your fans.
I think I think I'm going to do that. Actually,
Yeah.
I actually think I'm going to do that. I think that's actually a really good idea.
It is, and I forgot to do mine today, so I'll do it tonight at midnight outside. So
I may do Friday's fries though,
There you go.
instead of
I like it.
Wednesday waffle, because Friday, we haven't missed Friday yet.
that's
There
true.
we go.
That's
There you
true.
go.
That's true. All
And
right.
my
Well,
schedule's usually a little lighter on Fridays.
we will have you on special editions too when we do special recordings. So we book
Okay.
those way in advance.
And I'll
So,
talk about you guys on my Friday's fries.
Yeah.
Hey, just don't tell all of Cheyenne's secrets. She is mean. So
Half the time.
I know
You
people.
edit yourself, apparently.
that's it. She
Thank you,
cleans up
Salty.
well.
I drink
All right.
bourbon. What do you drink?
Bourbon is the best. Oh, Jack Daniels, but that's another story.
I'm a Maker's Mark guy myself.
Well, just Jack Daniels cheap in Tennessee. That's where I'm stuck. So, all right, Russell, I'm gonna let you go. I will. Salty says he drinks bourbon too. And if I recall correctly, Salty drinks an expensive bourbon like Pappy or something. So, but yeah, we will get you back on and we'll record a special episode with you. Eagle Rare. Okay, I was close. So Eagle Rare is very good. So. I've only sipped it at the bars, so I can't afford such things.
I actually am going to have some tomorrow night because I'm going to try it.
All right.
I'm going to try it tomorrow night.
Hey, put that on your Friday fries. So
I will. That's a damn good idea.
I love it. I love it. All right, Russell, I'm going to let you get out of here. Thanks for everything. And we will definitely get you back. I love having you on here. So
yes.
I may just fire them and keep you. So,
No.
So
fire them.
No.
Then Wednesday nights will be free.
No man's not up at 9 o'clock every week.
Oh, no. He can't fire us, but we can fire the other attorney.
All right. I'm going to let you go, Russell. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks, Russell.
Bye-bye. Oh, that was a great first hour. It went by just like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, Russell with Andy would be a podcast gold. He would. All right. Well, I don't want to keep our second guest. As you know, we have two guests every Wednesday night, and this is, like I said earlier, a repeat. Bjorn was here before, and I don't know why I keep ending up over there. So how the heck have you been, man? You got demoted, Amanda. So
sorry about that. I've been busy. Lots of writing, lots of book releases.
Yeah, you're a busy man. Tell us about it.
Well, we just released book 4 in that was February, end of February. Got one in May, and then one in the fall, and then 2 next year. So they're back to back. It's rolling along.
Wow.
How do you do that? And you work still, don't you?
Yeah. I have a regular job to feed myself.
Do you sleep? How do you do that?
Not a lot. Plus the little farm. So I stay busy.
Oh,
wow. Gee.
I was good. So how long does it take to write one book? It sounds like you're like ADD until it gets done.
More or less, yeah. It I know we talked about this last time I was on. I didn't really intend to write a series of books like this. It was going to be a short story, but it ended up exploding. And I just finished a draft for book 8. It's a spinoff book. It's not it's got some of the same characters, but it's not in the series technically. It's a spinoff, but I just did that one. Plus I got 3 more started. So there's no end in sight. It's just going to keep rolling.
Wow.
Well, that's good.
It do be like that sometimes.
It's good. You get the creativity.
Yeah, until I burn it out, I just will keep rolling with it. And then after that, we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll go back to paranormal investigation. We'll see.
So what type of spinoff is this?
Well, you may or not recall last time the series itself is starts with Norse era, Norse era Viking lady, and she ends up bouncing around in time a little bit. The Old West more or less in Montana, 1800s, and she ends up in World War II. Then we start picking up the characters that lead into her journey and her destiny. So then we go to other times, and in book 6 and 7, which aren't out yet, they're finished. They just haven't been finalized and released. But it's going to focus on another character, one of Mariel's descendants named Josephine. She's a very dark character. She's on the side of good, but the way she does it is not very wholesome. We'll put it that way. She was raised in New York during the Civil War era in New York, and her father runs a crime family essentially in New York, and that's where she picks up all her habits. And she's pretty violent and very insistent things be her way. But all that serves a purpose. She ends up serving a, she's the one that ends up building the structure to help Mariel save the world from darkness. So she's the one that builds this support structure from her experience as organized crime, basically, and helps Mariel defeat the darkness. But what the spinoff book is, its focus is more on her time in New York as the part of the crime family. So it's basically a historical crime drama, if you want to look at it that way. It's a little departure from the rest of the series.
Historical crime drama.
A little bit of everything for everybody throughout all these books.
Yeah,
it doesn't stay contained. It spills into all kind of genres and all kind of locations and time frames. So a little bit of everything.
I like it.
Yeah,
it takes a lot of creativity.
Yeah.
I tried to make it as broad as possible, only because, it's an epic. I mean, it's a very epic story. It's over 1,200 years of history, and it's dozens and dozens and dozens of characters. It's not just the one. So I mean, it has to dip in everything to make it somewhat realistic. It's supposed to mirror life a little bit, even though it is a fantasy story. There's some fantastical type elements in it, but it is primarily set up, or I wrote it primarily to be set up as real, a realistic story that you could actually see it could unfold, not not completely fantasy like Lord of the Rings or something like that. It's our world, but with some elements of fantasy thrown in. So
yes, I remember us talking to you about all of the history and how much went into you exploring the history of everything, and I thought that was really cool. So do you stay mainly in history? Do you ever bring them like more to our time?
It's funny because I've been asked that by other people, and here's my hang up with writing modern times. I don't want to write for cell phones and computers and stuff.
Yes.
And technology is too much, like, from the crime aspect. And Russell probably would be a good one. If I didn't catch all of Russell's bit, I caught a little bit at the end there before I got on. But Russell writes a lot of modern, murder mystery stuff. So he would be a good one to explain to me how I can write. How does Josephine Peel, for example, if you brought her into modern times, how does she get away with everything she does with all the technology out there? I don't want to have to think that hard. So I avoid modern technology. If it wasn't for cell phones and computers and all the wild stuff the FBI can do and things like that, I might would do it. But I think I'll just stick with history.
That's so funny. I was just watching a movie the other day from the 80s, and I was like, only if they had a cell phone.
Right, exactly.
all of that would have been taken care of just with a cell phone.
Yeah.
I think as soon as beepers made the scene, I think that's where I stopped writing. I won't do anything after that.
Yeah. I remember my beeper. Those were good days.
Oh yeah, I remember the beeper. Yeah, you were something if you had a beeper.
Oh yeah, and then you had to get to a payphone and have a quarter.
When I moved, I lived in the Charleston area, South Carolina, and that's where I was born and raised at. And about 7-8 years ago, we moved up here towards the middle of the state. And on the drive up here to look at the land we ended up buying, I saw a rest area. So I said, I think I'm gonna stop here and get something to drink and use the bathroom. I get out of the car and there's a telephone booth. I'm like, no way, there's a telephone booth. And I said, it's probably empty. Like you sometimes you see the shell of one. I want that. It's still in there and it still works. It's got to be the last one.
That's crazy. We still have payphones. I think they were still there a few years ago at the Kentucky Horse Park.
Really? I didn't think. I didn't think there were any left. I guess there's a few out there. Huh?
We have one right outside my job, but you kind of have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was surprised. But I was surprised that we still had one.
I was saying, I'm picturing things. What do you have to do?
Well, I work for 911, so we have the little telephone booth right outside the front door, which I was honestly surprised that we still had one.
Yeah,
it seems like you'd have an intercom.
I mean, anybody can come inside the front, come in and ask for one or something to use the phone, but to still have a working payphone, I was like, huh.
I did a story about one in Washington D.C. that a lawyer took and refurbished and put up, and it's connected to a VoIP and voice over internet, and it takes you. You can actually dial in an emergency, but it lets you send messages to people who are gone. And he is writing about these things, and he says that he has gotten so many people that are be like, "Thank you for allowing me to do this," because it'll just tell you could, if this is an emergency, you can use the phone, and he'll foot the bill. But if you want to send a message to someone in beyond, push 2 and just start recording and just talk your heart out. It's
Wow.
what a novel idea, and he says that it's helped so many people. So.
That's really cool.
That's interesting.
That is.
I don't know why I got off on that sidekick. Sorry. So.
Payphones.
Yeah,
That's an awesome idea, though.
technology started all this.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, think of all the ideas he's getting. So.
Yeah. I need to write a story about a guy that fights with technology all the time. That could be about me.
Oh, there you go.
It could be like the anti-Marvel universe. So, the superheroes be like, "I'll take you down."
Do you have it so people can communicate telepathically in your books?
Actually, you bring that up. Book 4, the one that just released, that was good timing. Thank you. You kept me on track.
She studied up.
So book 4 that just released is called Rune of Revenge. It's the 4th in the series, but it's actually the first one that doesn't focus on Mariel, who's the primary antagonist or protagonist. This one's about her good friend Ingrid, and y'all might remember talking about her last time I was on. Very large, very intimidating Viking era woman, and her story stays in the Viking era mostly. She does appear as a spirit in other times, but that's neither here nor there. Most of her book is about the Viking era, but part of her character is she's got the power of foresight. She can see. Well, she's got the watered down version. Her family, the Stone Splitters, several of the family throughout the generations have had the power of foresight. Her uncle, the only 2 that were at the same time was her uncle and herself. He was only around briefly, but he was so deeply engrossed into his ability to see beyond the veil and into the spirit world, into the other world it's called in the books, kind of drew him halfway out the living world. So he spoke in riddles. He was very unclear when he spoke and just generally confusing, but it was all because he was seeing both worlds. He was seeing the living world and the spirit world at the same time, and he was trying to relay this to the people around him, and it's not very clear to him. Ingrid's is a little different. Hers is a watered down version. She has more gut instincts of more than seeing like a clear vision of what's going to happen. She has gut instincts of what's going to happen. And this is what leads her to do all these things throughout her life to help Mariel accomplish her destiny to save the world from the dark. So without her, Mariel wouldn't have been successful. So that's kind of tie in with her story. And I don't want to give too much away because there's, it just came out, but she does make some appearances as a spirit also, and she does fight after she dies in the spirit world. There's a dual battle happening in the living world and the spirit world at the same time. So it's
nice.
Good story.
That
Try
sounds so cool. That's awesome. Being able to communicate with everyone in the other world, is there any type of possession that happens?
Actually, in some future books, and I don't want to say too much because they haven't even haven't been released yet. But
you're in his head.
You're on it. You're on it. One of the I won't say. I'll put it this way: one of the characters, not only is possessed by a dark entity, she creates it herself. She grows it within her because of her horrible background, her horrible upbringing. To protect herself, she had this rare ability to actually create her own dark spirit to help protect her, and it ends up helping her, and it's also her undoing at the same time. So it's not the best situation.
Yeah,
that's sweet.
Wow.
Yeah, makes me think of the show Evil, where the demon helps him write the book, But then, yeah.
Yep, similar. It's
And it's
kind
like,
of that way. Yeah.
but you have to get rid of him too. So that's crazy.
When you were growing up, did you read a ton of books?
I did, but it mainly centered around research of various topics, and a huge one, and I know you guys will appreciate this, was cryptids and just supernatural, anything supernatural in general. I did a lot of reading about just those topics. Vampires, the whole gamut, vampires, the cryptid beast, Loch Ness monster, all Bigfoot, all everything, and came to a very simple conclusion. There's something to it. I don't know exactly what it is, but there's too much to say there's not. I mean, there's too many sane and competent people that have seen it. There's something to it. We just don't know what it is exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
many
how
prints.
That's how it was with me growing up. Like all your typical, like, I was talking about it the other day because back whenever I was in elementary school, there was a website that we all used to look at, and it was always talking about like vampires, werewolves, all different stuff like that. And that was kind of the same thing of where my interest into cryptids led off into. And it, at some point, you're like, well, there's got to be. You can't tell me that every single person out there is making this up.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I've seen some things myself, but I have I guess I'm very fact driven, which makes it strange that I'm also on the side I'm speaking about, because facts they're good and they're bad. Okay. I mean, if you leave no supposition between your facts, and then you'll never really accomplish anything. You got to use your gut instinct at the same time. I've seen things, but I can't prove to myself with facts what I saw, but I also know I saw it, so there's something there. I don't know what it is.
That you're on that side, but you have actually seen something. So
yeah. And it's not anything definable that I can really say that's exactly how that this is my defining moment. It hasn't been like that, but I believe people have had it, and I have no reason to disbelieve them, especially people that they have no reason to lie about it. Like you said, it's there's what do they gain by lying about it? So there's something there. I just don't think we don't have enough knowledge of the universe to prove it. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, it's cool because you have the history, the facts from the history part in your books, and then you have the fantasy part that goes along with actual history. So you do have fact and fantasy in there. So that's cool.
I try to blend a little bit of everything. It's just the spice of life, a little bit of everything.
Yeah. I love it. So you obviously love history.
Oh yeah. History. I think history and the paranormal are my two favorite topics. If I had to pick only two, that would be them. Yeah, definitely for sure.
Just mesh them together.
Absolutely. What's your favorite cryptid?
That's a hard one because there's so many.
Yeah, that's true.
I know a friend of mine and I were recently discussing. We just randomly talk about different stuff, and I said something about dinosaurs. I said there are tales from Africa that some of them are still around, that they survived in the deep into Congo, where you can't really access the area, but it's one of those same things where it's just generations and generations of locals that live in the Congo that say they describe, they don't know, they call them dinosaurs like we would call them, but they describe them and draw them out in the sand, and it's a brontosaurus. I mean, look at every one of them. It's a brontosaurus. How do you explain that? They don't, the native inhabitants of the Congo don't have archaeologists to dig up dinosaur bones and say, okay, this is a brontosaurus. They don't know. They don't know the same things we do outside, and when they draw it, it's a brontosaurus. So there's got to be something to that. I mean, I can't imagine they're just happened upon an animal that looks exactly like that. So if when you say my favorite animal, I'm thinking my favorite cryptid, I'm thinking of one that I think is the most provable at some point. You know what I mean? The one that there's the most likely straight line to prove that they do exist. And for all those naysayers, the coelacanth, for example. The coelacanth was a fish that existed in the dinosaur back when the dinosaurs were around. It died out allegedly about the time the dinosaurs died out, but fishermen off Vietnam swore up and down that they're still there because they're catching them. They're deep sea, very deep sea fish. They don't come to the surface. So science, of course, says no. We found no fossils for this many, eons between when they existed last and now, and it's not possible until someone caught one and brought it up and had an actual body to prove it. Now they can't say anything except, okay, I guess they did survive. So that's kind of where my mind's going when you say favorite cryptid. I'm just looking for the ones that I think there's the straightest line to prove they still are around or do exist. I don't know if that is exactly what you asked, but that's where I went.
No. That's plus they're trying now to back create some of these things. Mm-hmm. I just did a story about they've created the woolly mammoth mouse.
Did they not learn from Jurassic Park?
No.
Yeah. In New York City, they have created in a lab. There's only 7, and they're sterile, according to the article. A woolly mammoth mouse. It's a rat, or it's a mouse that existed back then, but they used DNA from a woolly mammoth with other DNA, and then they got an actual. It's the size of a dang rabbit. It's cute as hell. I would own one, but yeah.
I think I've seen it. Yeah, it's like it's fur. It's furry. Yeah.
I gotta see what this thing looks like.
So, my gosh. That was my joke on my afternoon show. Hey, if we're going to take over Greenland, let's just go let a bunch of them out. That'll do it. But yeah, they are trying to go back a little bit too. That's scary at the same time. So
it looks like a hamster.
If it's the one I saw, it's kind of a bushy-haired hamster, right?
It looks just like a hamster. It looks like a Siberian hamster.
Oh my gosh!
But it's so cute.
Does it have horns?
It does not.
Okay. Like the test.
Yeah, Bjorn, you told a story about fish, and Amanda is terrified of fish. So
yeah, I have ichthyphobia.
Like fish? You mean like goldfish on up, or you talk about just big fish?
Even the tiny little fish at the edge of the ocean.
Goldfish?
Fish, any fish, little goldfish. Fish, they're slimy, they're nasty. I don't want them to touch me.
Is there a story? Did something happen with a goldfish, or is this just a thing?
I was born this way.
Oh, come on. Your husband threw you in the ocean, didn't he?
No, he actually carried me into the ocean so I could experience the beach in Jamaica. And then he said, do you think you can walk back on your own? And I said, I think so. I haven't seen any fish. And then I got back to the edge and I saw the tiny little fish right at the edge of the ocean. I jumped back up in his arms and let him finish carrying me out.
That'll teach him.
That one's new.
I tried.
I can't spell it, so.
Ichthyphobia?
Yeah, I can't. I got nothing. You were the first person I've ever heard of with that.
Yeah, it's a real thing. I am terrified of fish. Yeah, I spent the night with a friend and I slept on their couch and their dad came in the next morning and said, breakfast is ready. And when I opened my eyes, he was holding a big catfish right over my head. They had no idea I was scared of fish. So I was like, oh, haha, very funny. Because I knew if I told them I was terrified of fish, they would try to touch me with it. So I just played it off like it was fine.
But you pulled it off.
Yeah, I pulled it off. I was like, haha, that's so funny. Let's go eat. Like,
didn't freak out.
But you will eat fish. You won't eat fish?
I will eat fish.
You just don't like them when they're alive.
No.
Okay, I got you.
No.
You like killing them?
I won't even touch it to cook it. I use tongs to pick it up and put it in the pan.
Wow.
Yeah.
Salty, one of our
like chicken.
Salty, one of our viewers asked if you believe some of the cryptids are interdimensional entities, and he also said earlier in the chat that his favorite was the rock ape from the soldiers over Vietnam talking about them.
I've not heard of that one. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, during the Vietnam War, that was something a lot of the soldiers talked about in the jungles. They called them rock apes.
So I guess like a derivative of the Bigfoot, then I would imagine, right?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
this from what I've read. Yeah, so
But interdimensional, I mean, it's definitely possible. I think as we go along more and more, we prove, like with string theory, it proves, well, proves it's a theory, so it's not proven, but it's a theory that there's infinite universes and infinite dimensions. So yeah, I mean, of course, I think if two in my uneducated words, if the two of them bump together and a beast is able to slip between, yeah, I can see that for sure. I just don't know how you prove it at this time, but I mean, eventually we will.
hopefully.
We know less than 1% of what we think we do.
Oh, absolutely. Well, there's a new quantum computer that they say operates in another dimension. It is so fast, and it's Google, by the way, and they say that it can do calculations that would take a normal computer like 5 months to do or something. I don't know if that's the exact number, but it operates so fast they think that it's in another dimension getting its data. That to me is creepy.
I did read something about that recently. I forget the time frames too, but yeah, it was like in 4 minutes it could do 2,500 years of calculations or something like that for a standard computer.
and I had a calculator this big for my homework.
Right.
Right.
Now, the one I like to read about is the basically the nuclear decay battery. It's carbon-14 decaying, I think is what it was, and the radiation is shielded by a encased diamond. So the diamond encasing is what keeps the radiation from leaking out and poisoning everybody. But the battery itself can power devices for 5,000 years, and allegedly they built one in Britain recently. So if any of that's true, again, I'm one of those, I don't know what to believe when I read it because there's so much BS out there. But if there's any truth to that, that's pretty amazing. I think that would be a
long
huge...
Energizer Bunny.
Yeah.
Well, and around the time that they released everything about the calculator doing stuff in other dimensions, they unloaded so much stuff onto us right around that time at once. It's like, what? Huh? Because that was around the time too that with work that they were doing with the AI, that the AI was demanding to be worshipped now, and I'm like,
that's the type of thing that creeps me out. So, I'm picturing like Westworld and
well, they've already
Terminator.
created like an AI church, and I'm like, nope.
I remember the last time I was on, I forget his name, forgive me for that, but it was the gentleman, the musician. He played it, I think it was in the Midwest somewhere. He played the blues mainly. But that came up between us. My question was AI writing books, and his was AI writing music. And he was a little more forgiving than I was. I was just AI writing books it's cheating. I mean, if you're gonna write a book, write the book. Don't want a book but not do the work. And he was a little more forgiving. He said, from a music standpoint, he didn't care if AI writes music. He said because in the end, it's not going to have any soul in it like a human made music would. So if people want a McDonald's version of music, they'll go get the AI. If they want the high end music, they'll come to a person. And I thought that was a good answer. He had a pretty good answer, but
I think
the same with the book.
It all depends on in what way it's used. I think when it comes down to it, because like, if you're using it to like set up like an outline of a book or give you like a general, whatever, I mean, I don't see a problem with that. But if you're just like, here's my general idea for a book, write it, then that's bullcrap to me.
Yeah. Well, it's not just I mean, okay, I'm gonna admit I'm just biased because I actually do write books, but I mean, I think it's cheating. I think it's you're sucking the real achievement out of the book when you do it that way.
Mhm.
But it's not just that; it's what people are already doing with AI and writing books. They're flooding the market. I'm an independent published author. You know, I'm not with Random House. I don't have this vast network to push my books. I'm doing this all on my own for the most part with, publicists I've hired to help me do this. And that's already a challenge enough. Now you're going to throw in somebody who's creating 10,000 books a month because they're using a computer to just crank out, forgive the term, half-ass stories in a book form. Yep. And now you're flooding the whole market. Now the people that I'm hoping will find mine at some point are having to dig through these thousands and thousands of books that a computer came up with. It's just, it's a little soul crushing, but it's not just that. You're bringing down, in my opinion, the quality of everything this way. And that's what they're doing.
Well, and my ex, who was a comic artist, was dealing with, it's horrible in the comic community as well.
They got hit first. The graphic arts got hit first, and because now it's trickling down to everything else.
When Todd McFarlane was doing his yearly pin up to win, I don't know if it was you got to be on a cover of Spawn. It was for Spawnuary, I believe it was. And there were distinct rules that AI could not be used. And it had to be purely from you. But the winner of the Spawnuary was a purely done AI image of Spawn.
And
you could very clearly tell.
It was discovered after the fact, wasn't it? I think I read about this.
I believe so, yes. And they knew about it, and they didn't
retract it. They just let it go.
Yeah. Yep. They didn't disqualify it. Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, I remember that.
Excellent piece of work, but it was purely done by the computer. They did not stick their hand in there to make any of that themselves.
Right. That's disappointing. I mean, that's not what it's about,
And
that's for all the creative people out there,
And like you were saying, for you, the market is so flooded, and like you were saying, it hit graphic design like that so hard, and the market is so flooded with AI done art that it, the people that are actually putting the blood, sweat, and tears into it don't have a chance.
Right.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that defend it say eventually it'll have the ability to compete with humans. I don't think it will. I guess I just can't believe it will. I don't want to believe it will, but yeah.
I think there will always be those people in art community, in music, in writing, and everything that's going to be like, well, I'm not having anything to do with it if somebody didn't physically sit there and write it or do it themselves. You'll always have those people.
Right.
Yeah. Well, now you have got to have an established fan base by now. It's got to be pretty large.
It's growing slowly. Like I said, it is a challenge. It's a challenge. The marketing side is a challenge. I do a lot of these shows, which is fun. I mean, even if the books, quote unquote, there's no book sales that come out of it. It's just fun meeting everybody. Like, you guys are fun to talk with. I was glad when Mickey asked me if I wanted to come back. I said, absolutely. That was, I enjoyed talking about all kinds of stuff. It wasn't just literary stuff. Like, some of these shows you go on, it's very strict about how they want what you can talk about and everything. But, other shows like this one is fun because I can branch out to other stuff I like, not just writing. We talk about ghosts and goblins and whatever we want here, and it's all good. Nobody gets mad.
You never know what we're going to talk about.
Right. Those are the fun ones, though. It just kind of takes a life of its own and runs with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's funny you said that. Russell is he's a lawyer. He's kind of everything's got to be a certain way. He's like, why do you do it this way? Nobody else does. And I'm like, that's why.
Exactly right. Yeah. Russell's an entertaining guy. I've been around Russell several times. He's a fun guy.
Yes. He is awesome.
I love how cynical he is because he reminds me of me with some things. It's just he's just fun. He's a fun guy.
I'd love to see him on a night he's drinking too.
Oh my gosh. We need to meet up with some of these people somewhere and party.
You should team up and do what like co-author a book together. That would be awesome. So
that would.
He would be fun to write with, I bet. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I started reading one of his books. I don't have, it's not that I try to support my fellow, especially the ones, represented by Mickey, because we're kind of like a little group, right?
Mhm.
And I've started writing or reading some of their books, but I just can't get my story out of my head fast enough to stop and go read other stuff. So I'm trying to bounce back and forth, but I'm not doing a very good job of balancing. I've just been writing. But I have started on his book. I do like it. It's modern in a different genre than I'm accustomed to, but it's good. I just got to actually have the discipline to sit down and finish it.
well, I get people messaging me all the time. Can you just review my podcast? Can you listen to it? I just can't find the time to, with all the stuff I do and a family and my crazy life. It's like,
absolutely.
So yeah, I get it 100%. And then I get sometimes authors will send me books in advance to read them. And I got a guy here in East Tennessee that I feel like I've put him off for a year already. He's like, have you read it yet? And I'm like, it's next in the hopper. It's not that I don't want to. It's just I haven't had the chance to.
Exactly. Yeah. Only so many hours in a day,
Yeah, and as I'm getting older, the days are getting shorter and shorter. I need to go nap earlier.
I understand that.
So how far back in history do your books go? Do you ever go back to like mythological times?
No, at this point, and again, who knows where it's going to go from here, but so far it's starts at 8. The earliest date, I guess you could say, would be 800, and that was when Mariel's father was born. His background plays in why she is the way she is. He's from Northern Africa. So when you think of Viking, you don't think Northern African. You don't think dark-skinned man. But he ends up in Scandinavia because explorers found his village, which was destroyed. His people moved to Spain, the southern coast of Spain, which is called Iberia back then, or in earlier times than now, it's called Iberia. The Germanic tribes wiped out the village, but the Norse finally pushed that far south and found the village, and he was the only one left alive. So they took him back with them.
Wow.
And nursed him back to health and everything. And he was something different, They hadn't seen dark-skinned human before, so this is interesting. They took him back, and they ended up selling him to a farm family that could not have children of their own. So they had to pay for the trip. So they sold him basically to the farm family. They end up passing away, and he's freed by the Jarl, who's the chieftain of the village they're in. He frees Ander, is the name he was given. They freed Ander, and he marries a local official's daughter, and they have Mariel together. So that's how she is. So unusual looking to begin with, and then you throw in the supernatural abilities she has, and then you just got a wild bundle of chaos in this woman, that ends up saving the world.
I love it.
That's the really short version.
Yes, I love it. I'm so excited.
I try to throw as many curveballs as I could. I wish my editor was here, because she always laughs about how just there's curveballs left and right. I don't make anything simple in the story. It's as soon as you think it's one way, you read it's not, and then you're like, okay, what just happened? And then it makes sense. And it blends together.
It's the ADHD kicking in there.
I think it is. Yeah, I hate when it's too simple. You gotta make it. Life's not that simple.
It's gotta have layers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt.
That's
So
cool.
I wasn't here last time that you were on. So what got you into writing to start?
Well, I've always liked to write, but I was always historical nonfiction and just research, technical writing for the companies I worked for. I used to write technical manuals and instructions to run machines, things like that. But I always tinkered with creative writing. I just never had the attention span to stick with a story. I'm my own worst critic. So if I write
Feel that.
if I write 4 or 5 pages of a story and then I go to sleep, and when I get up the next morning, I hate it and I throw it away. But for some reason, and I can't explain why. I don't know. But when I started creating the idea of Mariel the Dokkrsdottir, it stuck, and it just stayed, and it kept growing and growing and growing. It's expanded into more characters, more timelines, more settings, and I just kept running with it, and it ended up being total of 7 books in the official series, plus whatever I write for the spinoffs. I've got 1 down so far, but I got 3 more started, so probably at least 3 more coming after that one. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11 books there. And that's just in this series. So, or this, this universe, we'll call it, because the series itself will be done at 7, but there's spinoffs too. And I did leave, you mentioned Marvel earlier. I did leave a little blurb in book 3 when they discover more of the technicals behind how Mariel's power works and where it came from, and what happens when she does a certain thing, which it kind of flings the particles that generate her power out into the world. It leaves it wide open for basically superheroes to evolve, more or less. They have watered down versions of her power. So instead of having all of her powers, one might be able to heal, but not to the extent she does. So, heal slightly. One of them might be able to see the dark entities without assistance, with their own eyes, things like that. So there's these, I left a lot of doors open to go different directions. And one of them was actually to do kind of more of a superhero type spinoff of some sort, whether it's a comic book maybe, or whether it's just a regular novel, but of that genre, of the superhero genre. So it's a possibility. I just don't know if I'm gonna go that direction yet. Don't know that I have that ability to write that, but I'll find out, I guess.
That's what I was going to ask. Have you ever thought about writing a comic book? I mean,
I think I could do the writing. I would have to partner up with artists though. And I'm kind of like with what we were talking about earlier about AI. I use AI for small things, just little bits, like little advertisements, like a Mariel with some writing above her head or something. But as far as something really, really graphic, like a comic book or something like that, I would have to partner with a human. I wouldn't want to use a computer. I'd have to find me a good human artist, and we do it that way. But it's definitely something I'm very interested in trying it. I just don't know when or how I'm going to get there. But it's something I've definitely thought about. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, we had Jonathan, I don't remember, is it T-Berry or Mayberry? I can't remember. He is a famous author, and he's done several Captain Americas, and he's done a lot of horror, science fiction. He's written a lot of stuff. We had him on, and he was telling us that comic books are actually harder to write than actual books and novels, because you have to paint the picture with the words to the artist, and then you and him or her have to see eye to eye, I guess, so to speak, the big picture.
Plus, I would think, and maybe whoever's listening now that has some good comic book experience, tell me if I'm crazy, because I don't. But I would think writing for a comic book would be harder, other than what you just said. Also, for the fact that you would have to paint a whole picture with fewer words. I mean, you can't have 7 paragraphs to paint a scene like I would in a normal novel. So you got to be really creative about what words you use too.
You have to go into it with a very different mindset, because you want to give them like this big long thing to describe what you want in this one panel, but they don't like that. So
because then your new graphic artist will give you the pow, like a Batman. Say fewer words.
I love it.
True.
Yeah, you really have to go into it with a different mindset, and it's not easy to do.
No, you bring up a very good point, that since we're talking about it, and I had considered this before, I've been accused of being too descriptive, which I thought was the strangest criticism I've ever received as a fantasy author. They say you're too descriptive. I'm like, how is that possible? The person meant well, but they said, well, you're forcing me to see what you're seeing. I'm like, that's what writing a book is,
That's
I thought.
the point.
Yeah, you get in here. Yeah, and you get in here. Yeah.
I mean, I
Do you not want to see what I'm thinking, or
Yeah, I mean,
what's wrong with you?
not being, not offended by the statement. I just don't understand the statement. I mean, I thought that's what I was supposed to do.
Well, yeah. I mean, you do. You want to get inside them so that they see it, they feel it, they experience it. And I mean, besides for just wanting them to turn the page, you want them to be vested in the book. Because I mean, I've read plenty of books that I don't remember a lot about, but I've read some books that I could probably almost quote verbatim. And those are the ones that just to get you. And they're different for everybody, but those are the authors that I think are so powerful.
Well,
Yeah, absolutely.
And it, it could be a personal preference also, but like if you're describing it in the detail that I feel like as I'm reading it, I'm literally in the middle of it, can see it all in my head, then that's what's going to make me keep reading. Like this
Yeah.
person knows their shit and knows how to
Exactly.
write to
Right.
to put me in the middle of the story too.
And I do have a selfish motivation for writing that way too, because I would love so much to see this story on the screen somewhere eventually. And the closer I can write it as a story unfolding in your head, like on a TV screen, the better I feel like my very slim chances might be to actually see it happen one day.
Yeah.
But I think this series would be awesome on screen, even animated. I have even thought if somebody ever approached me about an animated series from the story, I'd be thrilled to do that. I think it'd be an awesome one.
Yeah. That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome.
Some of the better fantasy stories when they're adapted to film have been animated series, in my opinion. I mean, some of them have been really good.
Yep, absolutely agreed. And Salty made a comment back here asking, "Wasn't it the Saxons?" I'm not sure what he was talking about. So
which part?
I don't know. We'll have to get We'll get a follow up from him because I didn't see it go by quick enough. I think that the authors like that. I mean, you have the authors like Dickens that are paid pennies by the word, but then, like you said, the ones that really get into your head, get into it, those are the most powerful ones. And I mean, not everybody's going to be a New York Times bestseller, but after having done this show, I found out how a lot of people are New York Times bestsellers. You buy your own books. So
yeah. No, I went into this. This is something I discussed with my publicist several times. I said, I went into this with no expectations of ever making money off these books. I mean, that isn't the point. What I wanted to do was get a real good, honest court of public opinion verdict on whether the story is good. Of course, I think it's good. I wrote it. I'm going to be a little bit biased, but I just want a true, honest appraisal of the story out there from the reader, the normal reader. And I have gotten some good feedback from reviewers, but reviewers are a little bit odd because it depends on the genre they like, and it's going to be the same with the reader too, but you can't put all your eggs in the reviewer's basket. That's why I really would like to see as many comments from just book readers that I could possibly get. Like I say, I'm not even, I'm pretty sure I may never see my return on my investment for what I spent on the books, but that's not my motivation. My motivation is just, I feel very strongly about the story, and I hope other people like it as much as I like writing it. And that's where I'm trying to come from with it.
And it's something that you're going to be remembered for. You're leaving your mark.
Yeah.
And Salty asked if you primarily write fiction.
Now I do, yeah. At one point it was nonfiction, like I was saying before. Historical nonfiction was, and none of it's been published. I mean, I just wrote for my own enjoyment. But now that I'm writing and actually trying to publish it and get it out there and push it and market it and everything else, it's been historical fiction fantasy has been the focus at this point. Now, where I'll go from here, I don't know. I'm sure I'll stay in fantasy. It's too much fun to write fantasy. Nonfiction is not real fun per se because you can't. There's no wiggle room. I mean, it's already happened. It's fact. You can't really deviate. With fiction, you can do whatever you want for the most part.
Yeah.
So, too much fun to write fiction.
Unless you want to run around saying fake news. So.
Yeah. now, I will say this about the historical fiction fantasy genre, because I was on a program not long last week, in fact, we talked about these very things. They said, well, you're a history nerd, so to speak. I said, that's not so to speak. I am a history nerd, yes. How strictly do you stick to the facts? I said, that's a good question. What I tried to do with my story was I tried to fit in. There's always gaps in history, right? We try to, there's gaps of facts, and we kind of suppose what might have happened in that gap, but we don't really know it. So I try to take advantage of those things and work in my own imagination to fill the gap. But I also do bend some rules about the facts to make the story flow better. I mean, you're going to do that as a fiction writer, but it is, I would give it a good 85 to 90% fact, and then the rest is out of my own head. But it's not the same as nonfiction. Nonfiction, 100% fact. I mean, if you do anything other than that, it's not nonfiction anymore.
Correct. No autobiographies for you then. I personally think that would be boring, writing somebody's life story for them, you know?
I think a lot of autobiographies are not entirely fact either, though. I think some people might play fast and loose to change some stuff, you know what I mean.
Oh yeah. It's the further we get away from the Greatest Generation, the more it seems to be the case. So yes. Yeah, it's like we were talking about earlier with Hollywood. You know, we went from the black and white to now we're doing this CGI. You know, and which do you like better? I can't say because I like all of it.
That's kind of where I'm at too. I think I guess it's situational. It depends on what the story is and what you're trying to accomplish with it. You know, which one would make more sense to me, but then everyone's going to have a different opinion about that. So,
well, luckily we live in a world where you can turn on the TV and have 600 channels at one time, and there's nothing to watch. Nothing to watch.
Never.
That's why I go to YouTube. True story.
There's a lot of truth in that.
That's true. Chris says my theory on history is the Warren Commission didn't stick to the facts, so why should I?
Yeah.
Yep. That's for the noon show, Chris. So. I do a noon show, and I try and do news stuff because I didn't want to be like the Howard Stern guy. I wanted to have somebody, you know, or some stick that wasn't just funny. And so I'm trying to do this news show, and I'm learning how my opinion necessarily isn't everyone else's. And boy, sometimes they will clap back. And it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's the little things in life. So yeah, if you're ever bored between 1 and 2, well, you're probably at work, but 1 and 3, check us out. We sometimes get into some crazy stuff. We talk about woolly mice, and then we talk about UFOs. So you never know.
UFOs is a fun topic too. That can go in so many directions, and like you said, there's a lot of stern, hard feelings about that stuff too. I mean, you got people. Oh yeah, they take it serious one way or the other. You know, again, in my opinion, and take it for what it's worth. In my opinion, is there's definitely something to it. There's too much of it to say there isn't. There's something to it, and I don't think it's not all government experiments either. I think if you're a follower of science, and usually the ones that are strict followers of science are the ones that say there are no UFOs. Think about it. They have found 1,400 exoplanets at this point. Now, when I was growing up a million years ago as a young lad, there were no exoplanets. We had the 9, and yes, I counted Pluto. I still count Pluto. It's a planet, damn it. It was a planet when I grew up.
That's right. Get off the lawn.
We are very pro Pluto here.
Yep. So Pluto, we got the nine planets. That was all we had. There's no other planets. Like, okay, there's a shit ton of stars out there. I would have to imagine there's some planets around those. But now we have officially scientifically discovered 1,400 that they've confirmed. And that's not counting the tens of thousands of possible ones they haven't confirmed yet. And you're going to tell me that none of them have the same conditions to have life on. I don't know how anyone could come to that conclusion, but people do.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you want to get a good fight started? Try and tell the Bigfoot world that Bigfoots and UFOs live together, in the UFO world that Bigfoot is transported by UFOs. Oh, you want to get a good fight going there? That's a great fight.
I've actually seen, I don't know if I read it or saw it on TV, but I did read something about that very thing, that the UFO and the Bigfoot phenomenon are connected. And also,
oh boy,
I think you asked, or no, it was actually a viewer asked about the interdimensional cryptids. I think he was probably referring to Bigfoot, because I saw another one about that as well, that they do exist, but they don't exist in our reality. They kind of travel back and forth.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that's possible. I mean, there's no reason to say it's impossible.
No, absolutely not. And if you ever get a chance to check out Ron Moorhead, he has a theory on quantum mechanics and Bigfoot, and I think he nails it. I mean, I'm not the world's smartest guy, but wow, he comes up with some stuff in that book that just makes sense. Of course, can't prove it.
Right, not yet. It's coming one day, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you want to amaze somebody, tell them that every year they discover a new animal in New York City that they didn't know existed.
Are we talking about figuratively people, or are we talking about actual animals?
Oh no, there's that too. No, they've discovered, like in Central Park, they discovered a little newt that they thought had been extinct, and they've discovered fish, and it's like, that's the most populated city on the East Coast, and they're discovering these things, and you're telling me that something that's way out in the middle of no dang where isn't real.
Don't use the F word.
Yeah. Exactly. So we're still on FM, but yeah. Salty says nonfiction is no fun. I disagree. The old adage, truth is stranger than fiction, is a damn good argument.
You have a point. It does depend on the topic. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. That's true. But from a creative standpoint, it's you want to make up stuff when you're writing about so.
Well, let's say you're going to add a new character or person to your book. How do you come up with that persona, that figure, whatever you want to call? How do you is it just it was already planted, or does it grow? How does that come up for you? See, to me, that would be the hard part.
Oh, for me, that's the fun part. That's the best part of writing. That's how I ended up from one protagonist to having 2 or 3 dozen characters. But for me, it's a mix of both. Some of them are preconceived. Mariel, for example, when the story first started, she was already developed. I mean, that was already the person I wanted to be the protagonist.
Did she come to you in a dream by chance?
No. It was purely a mix of science and archaeology, actually, because a burial mound. I remember we talked about this last time, I believe. A burial mound in England was found in the 60s. It was a Viking war chief, jarl, chieftain, whatever you want to call it, dug up the mound in the 60s, kind of did a quick appraisal and said, yep, Viking chief, here's the bones, here's the grave goods, here's the weapons. Didn't really look that close at the remains, though. Within the last, I think it was 10 or 15 years ago, they re-examined the remains and realized this isn't a man, this is a woman. And they realized there was a Viking leader of Viking warriors that was highly regarded, and he knew this because of the way she was buried. She was buried in a mound with her grave goods and the slaves that were sacrificed to be buried with her, all that stuff. So she had all the trappings of what, you know, a Leif Erikson, he wasn't at the same time, but you know what I mean, a Leif Erikson or an Eric the Red would have gotten. So that, when I read that, I was like, no, that's fascinating. I would love to know what the story is behind her, because at that time we were just starting to get into the idea of female warriors, you know, badass female warriors that are leading armies of other warriors and they're doing their warrior stuff. You know, it was something we were just starting to get into. Now we're a lot more accepting of that because we know it happened a lot more than we thought it did. It just wasn't what we thought of before, as a general rule, you know, in society. So I started thinking about what her story would have been. And then, of course, the paranormal interest kicked in, and now I got to put a supernatural power in her on top of it. Plus, she's not your normal one because I wanted to make her not your stereotypical, you know, white, blonde hair, blue-eyed male that's a Viking. You know, she's a dark-skinned, wild black hair, green eyes, mulatto, more or less mulatto female warrior. So I just threw everything that's different I could into this character, and then it just exploded from there. It turned into, okay, everybody she met, the smallest character in one of the early books, I'm like, there's more to this character. So then I write another book to explain that character. But then I've introduced 3 more characters in that book. Now I've got to write more books for these characters. So it's a mix of both. I start with a few, like Ingrid was kind of a last minute throw in book 1. And after book 1, I realized I wanted to do more with her character. So I sprinkled her in, like I said, as a spirit, kind of a spirit or slash from Visions in 2 and 3. Because she was already gone from the living world by this point. But when it was time for book 4, I said, okay, she's got a story to tell when she was on Earth, so let's do it. And that's where book 4 came from. Other ones popped up just off the cuff, and I decided this one's got a story, let's do this one. And I started developing them as the book goes. So it's a mix of both, to answer your question. I kind of went down a rabbit hole with that.
No, that answered it, because once again, I think you're more creative than I would be towards something like that. So yeah, absolutely. Now, do you outline any, or do you just straight out of your head onto the keyboard?
That's a good question. When I first started with book 1, because I was still in technical writing nonfiction mode, I outlined it strictly and followed it to the T. And it was soon at the time when as soon as I felt myself veering off the path and letting creativity take over instead of my strict plan, I would go back and start over until I stayed on that path. So I fought myself the whole first book. It came out pretty good though. But when I got to book 2, subconsciously, I think my creativity started fighting back and I started getting off the path, but I let it do it to a degree. Still stayed mainly on the path. I just let the path be a lot wider and realized this turned out a lot better. My opinion, book 2 turned out better than 1, but it was because I allowed my in the moment creativity to take over. So book 3, I threw caution to the wind a lot more and just made a story, a rough story outline and a few pivotal events that I wanted to happen, and just let it take its own course from there. And it did well. I did have to go back and redo a few things only because it was such a departure for me for that using that style. But by book 4, I had no boundaries now because it took place in a section of history that I haven't chronologically written around yet, and it was a character that I haven't expounded upon a whole lot yet with Ingrid. So I was able just to do whatever the hell I wanted for the most part, and I had a ball with 4. It's still out of all of them, it's my favorite book that I wrote. I enjoyed that one the most because it was just so free and I was able to do what I wanted. Book 5, which is coming out in May. It was a little different because it's in a gap in book 1. In book 1, there was a point where I skipped. I didn't not skip, but I summarized 10 years of history with Mariel in the settlement in England. because I wanted to keep the main story rolling, and I didn't want to have to distract with everything that was going on in this period of history. So I just summarized it to keep the main story going. But now I want to go back and fill the gap. So that's what book 5 is. So it takes place within an already chronologically written part of the story. So now I have to make rules again because I can't violate what I've already written. I hate that in movies or books where people do that and they break every rule they've already written. It's like you lose it. It's like, okay, you just
now wait a minute. That's not how this went.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, he can't have done that. He didn't even meet that person yet. That kind of thing. I'm sitting there arguing with myself when I see that. So I wanted to make absolutely sure I did not do that in my own writing.
And you will have that one reader that'll be like, no.
Absolutely. Yep. And I'm sure there's some minor thing or two that I've missed that will come up inevitably. But I think overall the story's solid and it's good and consistent. And I did beg my author or my editor when she was going through it. I said, please help me make sure I didn't contradict anything because I hate that and I just don't want to do it in mine. And she said she went through it several times and said, no, it's solid. So just go ahead and roll with it.
Good. So
I feel like it went well. Then 6 and 7, books 6 and 7, which are in the future, they're a lot more crime. This is the one I was talking about earlier, the Josephine Peel, the dark character, and it's more crime, historical crime drama. Most of that, it still fits in the Mariel's story though, because she does have a huge part to play in all this, but it goes heavily into her background, and it's a lot more. The character is a lot less wholesome than other ones that have been before her. she's not a very nice person. She serves a good purpose, but she's not a very nice person.
Well, so you said May for the next book.
Yeah.
And then how long before the one after that?
It's in the fall. We haven't decided on the release date yet, but it'll be in the fall. Okay. I'm thinking September to November, somewhere in that time frame. And then 6 will be the beginning of 2026, and then probably May, June will be book 7, and book 8 will be sometime after that. I haven't even. That was just a draft stud on that one. So
I was going to say, there's your structure again.
Yeah, we've been trying to build in roughly 4 months between, and my publicist, Mickey, Mickey and Amy, also, they want to build enough time between them to let momentum build for each book, but we can't let too much time go by because the ones that are reading the books in the series, they want to go to the next book. They don't want to wait 8 months to a year for the next book. So we're trying to find a happy medium, and it seems like 4 months roughly is the magic spot. So that's what we're sticking to right now.
We've been spoiled with binging. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. So, well, listen, I kept you over and I apologize. Please tell everybody where they can find your stuff if they want to get in touch with you.
I think the best place to go is probably my the series website. It's thalsparr.com, THALSPARR.com. And that'll take you to links to where you can buy the books on Amazon, what the descriptions of each book, when they're coming out, and also some extra little tidbits I threw in that kind of pique some interest on the characters and the storylines and such. So that's the best place to go. And I'm on Facebook. Series on Facebook. It's under me. It's Bjorn Leesson. Just type that in. I'm about the only one, so it won't be hard to find Bjorn Leesson on Facebook. Just look for this.
Chris says, I heard a rumor that Bjorn wrote 2 additional books while Russell was on in the first hour. I love that chat.
Oh, that's great.
Well, hey, I want to get you back. You and you and Russell are great, and I loved when Mickey asked me. He said, "Well, can I have some people come back again?" And I'm like, "Who?"
Yeah. No, this is a great show. I'm glad you do this show. This is fun. It really is.
Yeah.
It's good. It's relaxed. It's casual. And we just talk. That's awesome. Yeah. That's the best way to do it.
We're
But,
laid
hey,
back.
do you ever have more than one guest at a time though, or is it always just one guest?
We have had a couple guests that have wanted 2 hours, and I find that it's hard to keep the viewers because
I'm in on at a time at one time.
Oh, well, I've actually done it on purpose and by mistake. So yes.
Yeah.
So we had, when Greg came on, I think Greg was running late. So Russell just ran over and Greg just dropped in, I think was how that worked. And then, we had a lady who writes Western science fiction that she's like,
That sounds
can I stay on? Because I've got questions about Bigfoot. And I'm like, well, I'll ask. And didn't care. And it worked out great. So I've done it both ways. So to answer your question, if that did.
Yeah, if you ever want to do a Russell Bjorn duo, that would be awesome. I do like Russell. I've been on shows with Russell before. He's entertaining.
We had to do it earlier for him because he's an old guy, so we don't want to.
Yeah, I know. I was surprised to see him when I got on and I was in the back room there. I was surprised to see Russell. I'm like, he's still awake.
Right.
He's a good guy though. He really is.
He is. I really like him. He lives not far from me. I need to actually meet him. So I have a feeling he is a hoot in person. So
Yeah.
have you met him in person by chance or
not in person, just on video? Yeah, different video places. Yeah, but not in person. Yeah, he's in the next state now. I think he moved to Georgia, so he's right next door to me. I just haven't made it across the border yet, but one day we'll meet up somewhere, I'm sure.
Hey, there you go. Hey, I'm in Atlanta. We can meet in the middle. So because he's in the North Georgia mountains. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. And when the book comes out, if you want to come back in, well, I think next month, maybe a little soon, but maybe the month after that, that'd be great.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Or definitely before Christmas. So let's plan on having it back before at least. Hey, do you have a Christmas book you could bang out real quick?
It'll be ready tomorrow.
I'll have to work on that.
Give him 48 hours.
That just came to me. I was like, I could have him do a Christmas special for me.
I'll have to work on that.
I'm sorry. All right, man. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time, and it's always a pleasure talking to you. We all enjoy it. So
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
We will have you on soon, and I'm sure we'll hopefully get you some sales too. So,
oh yeah, like I said, just anybody that has feedback on the book, it's awesome. So I'd be happy to hear it.
Absolutely.
Right.
I don't know how I'm doing if you don't tell me. That's what I always tell the readers.
Never say that as a paramedic. Never say that as a paramedic. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. All right, we will talk to you soon.
All right, take it easy, y'all.
All right.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, what a great
He's
show.
right. We do need to have those two on together.
Yes, definitely.
That could be a whole 2-hour show. So we'll have to start early for Russell, though. So
We'll get started at 8 for him.
Yeah.
there you go. We'll tell the missus to make sure to spike his punch. So
Tell him to wait a little bit on that last cup of coffee.
Have his pills ready.
Not to run laps with the puppy. So, all right. So Cheyenne, are we doing a Saturday show, or I'm hoping you say.
What are you
hoping you say no, but if you want to, we will.
It's going to be a no this Saturday.
Okay.
Where I have my training all this week. I have Friday off, and then I go back to my normal schedule Saturday and Sunday.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, yeah, it's probably for the best not then. Maybe the weekend after that. Or
We'll be on Monday, though.
Yes, and that's what I was going to ask. Monday you'll be back, so good.
We will.
And next Wednesday, Amanda, you'll be with me, I hope, assume.
Yeah.
And Cheyenne, are you off next Wednesday?
Just a second.
Makes not seeing the wind map more tolerable. Do you guys, you know what he's talking about, Shane? Do you know what he's talking about with the wind map, Amanda?
Wind map? I know
Yeah,
what
it's
a
a-
wind map is.
It's I do thing on the lunch show where it's the AI and you pull out and it's the whole globe and it shows the wind and how it's the coolest thing.
I will not be here
Ah.
next week.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll carry on without you. I mean, I'm sure Amanda and I can handle it. We are having more authors because this is the month that Mickey and I decided that we were going to try and really help out some of the authors. And let me see, who do we have next week? Angela Van Bremen and Fern Brady. So are the two authors for next week. So looking forward to that. And then next month, we're going to drop back and do some more paranormal stuff. And go from there. So, but yeah, I'm already working on a couple. I've got this another psychic, another witch for April, and I can't remember what else. I've got a couple. So,
Salty, that was rude.
So,
The Skinner part.
No.
so
Oh.
all right. Anywhere you're going to be, Cheyenne, between now and then, or besides work?
Working here.
That's right. You're learning your APCO CPR, so good for you.
Nice.
Remember to bare the chest, not expose
Oh,
the chest. Bare the chest.
No, it's the APCO E something.
EMD, emergency medical dispatch. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to. Yeah, well, you have to read it per se, because that was one of the questions they hung me on when you were reading it off, and I said expose the chest or bare the chest, whatever the one was. I just said it, and it wasn't exactly what the book said, and they were like, try again. What?
I believe that part will be at the beginning of April, where I have to read off what's on the little flippy book.
Yeah. It's written by lawyers. No offense to Russell, but it's written by lawyers.
This part is basically what I've sat and listened to for the last 5 months. So I'm just like, yep, I got it. Mm-hmm.
Well, you got to go through the motions, so you got
Thank
to.
you, Chris.
So. And Salty wants to know when the other witch is going to be back on. I'm not sure. She's got a lot going on, so stop. Stop. I'm not talking to you. Meow. I'm not talking to y'all. Stop it. Talking to you. I'm not even looking at the screen. I'm not even looking. I'm not looking. Can't make me. I will close this show out. What did you have for dinner? All right. I can see the broccoli. You know, I ran across that show and I was that close to putting it on WRFN, but I was like, you got to see that one. That one has to. You got to see that one. Listening to it does not do it justice. I was like, no, you got to see it. So.
Oh my goodness.
But
one of
all
my
right.
favorites.
So do you have a topic for Monday by any chance yet? Or
we do.
Uh-oh. You care to tell, or are you going to keep... Stop it.
Should we tell, Cheyenne?
Yeah.
We are continuing on with the horror movies from the beginning, right where we ended off with the OG monsters and going all the way through the 60s.
All right, 60s. Good Lord.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Well, we ended at like 45. So
with the OGs. And there weren't as many horror movies back then, so
we've got some little filler ones that we can add in there that we didn't talk about before. So
yeah.
Okay. Anything for Easter horror coming up? Thoughts?
Ooh. Yes.
I sent you a link
Sure.
to a group. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, so it's a horror group,
Yeah.
and yeah, if I invited like 5 people and commented with my scary movie, I could win a Easter horror basket. So
Oh,
you two were,
All right.
interesting.
of course, my women. You were my women. So 2 of my women. But okay, cool. Well, we'll get that. We'll see you all on Monday, and I will be
Yeah.
back tomorrow at 1:00. And I have a retraction to run from a discussion we had earlier. And can you talk Scooby Doo again?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Oh, for the horror movie. Gotcha. Okay. Only if you dress like Velma. Please.
Can we get a little ascot like Fred?
She would
Please?
make a good Elmo.
Did you say Elmo or Velma?
Velma.
I swear I heard Elmo. I'm like,
Velma.
did she just offend her?
Elmo. You gotta dress like Elmo, Cheyenne.
An Elmo horror. There probably is such a thing. So
Probably.
They're making everything horror now. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
yeah.
Popeye.
Yeah.
Abe keeps wanting to watch Popeye. I'm like,
Is that a horror?
yes.
Well, shit,
Popeye?
The
they
Little
just-
Mermaid.
They've made
All
Winnie
the
the
Winnie
Pooh.
the Poohs.
Yeah, I saw the Pooh one. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I did not
There's
know
so
that.
many of them. They're making a Bambi one.
It seems like I did hear that one.
Yeah.
So, well, when you get to
There's
the
a
ones
bunch.
like Cocaine Bear and Sharknado, I love those. So,
Yes. Me too.
so Predator in the last, was it the Predator movie that was on Hulu came out?
Yes.
Was it that
It's
was
really good.
that
the
was
one that
amazing?
Was that the
Yeah.
one that was? It was just prey.
Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
It was
It
like
was-
the indigenous people during.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yes. Yes, it really was. And
Yes,
that's
I
usually
heard-
not my genre, but I
heard
was
good-
like
I heard good things about that one.
sucked right in on that one.
Yeah.
So awesome. Yeah, when we get to that, I could probably give you a little bit, but
We don't need other voices, Glenn.
okay. I'll just sit here and push buttons. So
No additional voices are necessary.
Oh my gosh.
meow. All right, we gotta get out of here. I'm getting slap happy.
Yeah.
All right, ladies. As always, it's a pleasure. Thank you to the chat. Thanks to Ross and for allowing us on Yerg's Radio, despite how I talk sometimes. And Rainbow Radio. We have a great time. Pine Island FM. ZQR. We appreciate you. Is that right?
I think so.
Okay. I hope so. If not,
I
we're
told you
fired.
I would only remember it the once.
Oh, we got in such a habit of saying, the one that it just flows off your tongue now. And so it's like retraining that little tiny brain I have. So, all right. So I can feel the hate through the screen. Oh, all right. Love you, ladies. Thank you for everything. Thank you to Bigfoot Radio Network and everywhere else that I may have forgotten. Thank you. We appreciate it. We will see you all soon. Tomorrow, 1:00 for me, and Monday for you ladies.
Yep.
So keep them in line, girls. Keep them in going.
They have done very well for us.
They have. And I thought Wendell was leaving, but he decided to stay. So
Good. He should.
Apparently, me and him are apparently making a horror movie. So
there could be so many plot lines for that.
yep.
You and Wendell in the woods and him protecting you. And
No,
you
no,
feel-
see, no,
Wendell
see,
has to
I
be
think
taking pictures of everything.
Well, no, see, I figured it would be like from his view of the camera and me just running away.
He's trying to stop it. Oh, God. All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks for everything. We love you guys.